Chair now recognizes the gentlelady from California, Ms. Brownley, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Morgan, thanks for being here. You explained earlier the Interior Department's new alternative arrangements under NEPA and the impact on tribal lands. I wanted you to expound on that and talk about other impacts like oil and gas and other impacts.
Yes, thank you. You know, when I worked for the Bureau of Land Management in Wyoming, it was an interesting experience to work for a BLM field office where everyone knew the members of the community, right? They were in touch with those folks. And the NEPA process gave the neighbors an opportunity to weigh in on activities that were going to occur to them, whether those were oil and gas activities, whether those were mineral exploration, whether those were activities that would affect grazing allotments that they had. And that is absolutely critical that we build in this opportunity for public comment. And it is profoundly concerning that the Interior Department is taking those opportunities away, not just as a matter of fairness to communities and stakeholders and interested parties, but also as a matter of permitting efficiency, because DOI is inserting and injecting a lot of litigation risk in the way that it is dealing communities out of the process.
Do you think the oil and gas industry will exploit this new directive?
100%. I think that there are communities whose activities necessarily impact health and the environment who will welcome this opportunity to shortchange process. I think that there are others who are genuinely concerned about the lack of stability that the instability that Interior is creating in its process, who want to hear, as the gentleman here with me today, want to hear from communities and are finding that the playing field is incredibly unstable as a result of actions by DOI.
Thank you. I wanted to talk a minute about the 7-county infrastructure coalition versus Eagle County, which limits the scope of environmental reviews and makes it harder for communities to seek judicial review. Mr. Morgan, in your view, how does that decision undermine the core benefits of NEPA?
I think we're going to have to wait and see how 7 counties affects NEPA overall. And I think that there are parts of the decision that are somewhat ambiguous. I mean, Justice Kavanaugh says in his writing for the court, says, you know, we understand that there are downstream effects like water pollution that may occur remote in time and place. And those things need to be taken account of, right? And that is important, and it is categorically true. What we have to be careful is that the decisions focus on the project itself, and its limiting of foreseeability doesn't overly constrain the work and the NEPA analysis such that we lose important information about, for instance, cumulative effects. When the Forest Service is looking at a project that could affect a riparian area, right? It looks not just at that project, but it scopes out its future projects. So it has a good sense of what's coming. And that makes sense. And I think Justice Kavanaugh would agree that that makes sense. But we need to make sure that the agencies understand that that sort of look is appropriate.
Thank you for that. And last question is if this committee were truly interested in serious, good faith conversation about improving the permitting process, what reforms would you recommend we consider?
First of all, I'm not saying, and I want to be clear on this, that we need 1 million more bureaucrats. What we need is a trained and professional civil service with expertise. And that goes for the Forest Service no less than our warfighters, the Marine Corps, or our public health professionals. And we are losing those people, and that is a big problem. We need to leverage technology. We all agree on that. Permitting can be speeded up. There are ways to do e-permitting. There are ways to use geographical information systems, geospatial tools, to make good decisions with fewer people if you have the people with the expertise who know how to interpret that. And insofar as communities are concerned, we know that there are good tools for engaging communities early and often. And responsible project proponents do that work, and they utilize those tools. Some of those tools used to be available on government websites and are no longer there. And if we want to expedite permitting, we need to make information available to communities. Sorry, I went along.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.